Hello and welcome. Tonight, it's a new dawn and a new era in Edo State as Monday Okpewolo and Dennis Idahosa are sworn in as governor and deputy governor of the state. President Bola Tinubu charges Governor Okpewolo to justify the confidence of the people by working to improve their living standards. And President of the Court of Appeal constitute a three-man special panel of justices to preside over the political cases in Rivers State.
And on business news, economic think tank Financial Derivatives Company projects October inflation to rise to 33.29% as fuel costs rise higher.
On sports news tonight, Italy's Yannick Sinner receives the ATP year-end trophy for finishing 2024 as the #1 ranked tennis player in the world.
From the nation's capital, Borno State government denies keeping any minor under custody against a directive of President Bola Tinubu.
And in international news from London, Donald Trump's administration is starting to take shape after his win in last week's presidential election.
It's the dawn of a new era in Edo State as Monday Okpewolo takes over the mantle of leadership in the state, becoming the state's 6th democratically elected governor. Governor Okpewolo took his oath of office alongside his deputy, Dennis Idahosa, at the colorful ceremony at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The ceremony was witnessed by several dignitaries, including Vice President Kashim Shettima, APC Governors, APC Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, party leaders and former Governor Adam Sushomole. After taking his oath of office, the governor announced the formation of a panel of inquiry to probe the exclusion of 14 lawmakers from the 7th session of the State House of Assembly.
Pomp, ceremony and a display of an array of colors are prominent features of the inauguration and swearing in of Governor-elects Monday Okpewolo and Deputy Governor-elects Dennis Idahosa at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The event has dignitaries including Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima, Chairman of the Governors Forum Abdurrahman Abdurazak, governors from the APC, National Chairman of the APC Abdullahi Ganduje, and members of the National Assembly in attendance. It soon gets formal as the Chief Judge of Edo State, Daniel Ukungbowa, administers the oath of office, first on the Deputy Governor-elect, Dennis Idahosa.
That as the Deputy Governor of Edo State, I will discharge my duties. To the best of my abilities.
Governor-elect Monday Okpewolo thereafter takes his turn.
I said as will be required for the duly discharge of my duties as governor. And that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
The signing of the documents follows.
Thank you.
The parade of Nigerian Police Force and other paramilitary agencies is another formal aspect of the ceremony. In his inaugural speech, Governor Okpewolo, who assures Edo people that the government is set to commence work immediately, also disclosed plans to investigate the case of House of Assembly members-elect, purportedly denies the opportunity to serve by the immediate past administration.
Today, you are officially giving me the mandate to preside over our dear state as governor for the next 4 years. Your welfare The welfare of our citizens is a top priority for us. To achieve this, we shall implement programs carefully outlined in my 5-point agenda, designed to grow a robust economic growth and improve the lives of our people. Recall that on the 17th of June 2019, 14 members of Edo State House of Assembly were denied inauguration into the 7th Assembly. It was a big blow to our democracy. My administration is setting up a panel of inquiry to investigate the remote cause of this incident.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represents President Bola Tinubu at the event, shares some tips for good governance and development.
It is often said that an honest leader is quick to see the legacy of problems they inherit. However, what truly defines such a leader is not the magnitude of these challenges, but the sincerity and courage to confront them. It is not fear that will shape the future of Edo State, but our commitment to the common good of the people, both supporters and opponents.
An inaugural procession around the stadium, an iconic moment in the course of the ceremony, gives the new Edo State governor the chance to connect with and show gratitude to the people he is pledged to serve for the next 4 years.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Governor Okpebholo on his inauguration as the governor of Edo State. A statement by the presidential spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, says the president has asked Governor Okpebholo to diligently work to enhance the living standards of the people of Edo State and make a significant impact during his tenure. Reflecting on the transition, President Tinubu noted that after 8 years under Obasanjo's administration, Edo State is rejoining the ranks of the All Progressives Congress, the APC. He emphasized the importance of Governor Okpebholo justifying the confidence placed in him and the APC while fostering true democracy and effective governance in Edo State. The president encouraged Governor Okpebholo to empower the legislature and of the vital government institutions throughout his administration, underscoring that the robust and independent legislature is essential for achieving democratic good governance. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has arrived at Abuja from Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, where he attended the Joint Arab-Islamic Summit. The president, who arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, around 8 p.m., was received on arrival by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, the APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, and other top government officials. Just the day before, while addressing the extraordinary Arab-Islamic Summit in Riyadh, President Tinubu had called for an end to Israeli aggression in Gaza, warning that the conflict in Palestine has persisted for far too long, inflicting immeasurable suffering. Reiterating Nigeria's call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, President Tinubu affirmed the country's support for a two-state solution where both Israeli and Palestinians can coexist in security and dignity. We head to Ondo State now, where the governor, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, says that the people of Owo local government have resolved to vote for the APC in the forthcoming governorship election in the state. Governor Aiyedatiwa, who is the candidate of the APC in the election, was speaking to newsmen during his campaign tour of that area. Residents of the ancient town of Owo trooped out to receive the governor's entourage. The governor appreciated the people for their overwhelming support, hoping for a landslide victory in the local government.
We are here today at our local government, the local government of the deputy governor, and also the Commissioner of Finance, Special Advisor on the Environment, and other political office holders that are from this local government. We are well received, and we have been promised that the vote from this local government will be given to APC. This is also the local government of the late governor, may his soul rest in peace, we have been shown love here. The people of all the traditional rulers, they have also agreed with one mind and they have spoken with one voice that APC is the party they are supporting, and myself as the governor and candidate of the party. So I'm so thankful to the traditional rulers of all the political leaders for mobilizing their people and for charging them to rally around and come out on the 16th of November to vote APC.
But before proceeding to the rally ground, the campaign entourage of the governor visited the Olo of our kingdom, Oba Ajibade Ogunwe, in his palace for royal blessings. Owo is the headquarters of Ondo North Senatorial District. It's one of the major cities in the state with a large population. In a move to settle the political dispute in Rivers State, the president of the Court of Appeal has constituted a 3-member special panel of justices to preside over the political cases in the state, which is set to commence on Thursday, November the 14th. Justice Onyekachi Otsisi will lead the 3-member panel of justices, which includes Justices Mistura, Bokaji Yusuf, and James Abundaga, and they are to hear the appeals lodged before the court and deliver judgment on the same to clear the docket of the appeal court and resolve the grievances of the political actors in the state. The appeals before the appellate court includes one constituted and instituted by the governor and the House of Assembly, as well as that of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress, bordering on the alleged defection of 27 pro-Wike lawmakers from the PDP to the APC. A panel of the court adjourned 3 appeals involving the political cases brought by the state till Thursday to be heard by the Justice Otsisi-led special panel. We turn our attention to security matters now. In Plateau State, the governor there, Caleb Mutfwang, has clarified that the bomb alarm incident, which occurred earlier today, was a false alarm triggered by a group of individuals who misinterpreted a heap of polythene bags as a potential threat. The bomb scare led to a wave of fear and panic among the citizens in the affected area. The governor explains that security agencies, including the anti-bomb squad from the Plateau State Police Command, responded swiftly, conducting a thorough cordon and search operation at the scene.
There was a scare this morning in Jos at Terminus where a rumor went around that there was a bomb, and the EOPD of the police had to be there, and I'm glad to inform everyone here that there was no bomb whatsoever. But it was good that people were sensitive, that they saw an object and they suspected that this object should be investigated. I think that is part of what we are called to do in society. Let's be sensitive to things around us. Let's be sensitive to movements around us. Let's be sensitive to comments around us. We've been able to nip a lot of potential disasters by picking up credible intelligence, and we're able to nip the situations in the bud. But we must also be responsible, particularly in the use of social media. Social media has become a tool of conflict creation. It has become a tool of destabilization, and we must be responsible in making sure that we manage social media responsibly.
In part 2, after the break, ahead of the Lagos International Theatre Festival, which kicks off in 2 days, the festival founder, Bolanle Austin Peters, hosts a side event to usher in the festival. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. It's the dawn of a new era in Edo State as Monday Okpebholo and Dennis Idahosa are sworn in as governor and deputy governor of the state. President Bola Tinubu charges Governor Okpebholo to justify the confidence of the people by working to improve the standard of living. President of the Court of Appeal constitute a 3-man special panel of justices to preside over the political cases in Rivers State. And Donald Trump's administration is starting to take shape after his win in last week's presidential election. the theatre curtains open at the various scheduled venues of the Lagos International Theatre Festival. The festival founder, Bolanle Austin Peters, hosted a cocktail of food and theatre as a side event, ushering the festival proper in a few days. Close friends and partners turned up at the upscale restaurant and bar, Cali, to enjoy a mix of finger-licking meals with an excerpt from one of the upcoming shows titled Dear Cafe.
It's a few days to the inaugural edition of the Lagos International Theatre Festival, and the founder, Bolanle Austin Peters, is treating some of her friends and associates to a special evening dining at the rooftop restaurant Cali, Victoria Island. A small group turned up with excitement ahead of the festival that the founder, a staunch theatre advocate of over 2 decades, describes as a full journey and a half.
You know, it's been a journey and a half, and I think the beauty of life is that, you know, when you're at a place where you're celebrated, just be thankful. I'm thankful, and I'm also thankful especially that we're able to bring the community together, that we're able to create the jobs that we create, that we're able to transfer the skills that we transfer. But I think over and above all, we're going to be creating a lot of excitement for Nigerians.
The dinner table soon gets filled, and the menu is as good as the ambience. The taste, the empty plate tells the story. And it was indeed a night of story, as guests present get an exclusive preview to a scene from one of the slated headline performances at the upcoming festival titled Dear Cafe.
Tell me where you did. Oh, right here, darling. Happy Saturday. I go meet you there, 'cause I miss you every day. Call me any day, I'll be on my way.
It chronicles the challenges of a single lady finding love in a cosmopolitan city like Lagos.
Oh! You're a joker. What? Wait. So, I am the one that gave you this thing now, right? I'm not saying that. You shut up.
The festival is expected to host scores of performances across 3 days, with performances from the United States of America, South Africa and Zambia, joining forces with multiple production houses in Nigeria. Festival director Vanessa Jev can't wait to see the performers get on the stage.
So the theme is unmasking culture. So it's almost like this idea of getting to see what goes on, what it is to be Nigerian talent on stage. So it's really about showcasing the art and the creativity that exists and how it's been elevated over the many years.
One of the guests, Debola Williams, popularly known as Debola Lagos, believes the festival holds the potential to unlock some economic potentials within the growing Nigerian creative space.
The economics around it, the costumiers, the dancers, the musicians, the makeup artists is an entire value chain that is now, of course, bringing in, you know, such a good amount of prosperity for the country, for the continent.
The Lagos International Theatre Festival kicks off on the 14th and runs through to the 17th of November 2024.
The news at 10 continues now as we head over to Abuja studios, where Gloria Mezoke is standing by to give us more. Hello, Gloria.
Thank you, Anne. We begin in Borno State, where the government has denied keeping any minor under custody against the directive of President Bola Tinubu. The State Attorney General, Barrister Hawa Abubakar, explained that all the 18 persons arraigned at the State High Court and remanded at the Maiduguri Correctional Center are above 18 years. The Commissioner stated this during the inauguration of the Borno State Working Group on Business and Human Rights by the National Human Rights Commission. Following the adoption of the document to promote human rights in businesses by the Federal Executive Council in April 2023, the Human Rights Commission inaugurates the first state working group in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to serve as pilot for the full implementation of the program across the country. Participants are drawn from civil society organizations, religious groups, security agencies, ministries, departments and agencies, and the idea is to promote human rights among actors in business transactions.
The journey we are on today began with a deep commitment to aligning Nigeria's business environment with international human rights standards. The National Action Plan provides a comprehensive national legal and policy framework that promotes and protects human rights within business operations, generally to encourage good business practices, responsible business practices across the country.
The State Attorney General and the Commissioner of Justice heads the Borno State Working Group, while retired Justice Abdul Aboki heads the National Business Working Group of the Commission. The inauguration affords the State Commissioner of Justice the opportunity to clear the air on the trial of the End Bad Governance protesters in the state.
We do not have any minors right from onset. We separated minors and adults. Right from the onset, we had a meeting with the police commissioner. We did not have any minors. Those that were arrested were identified and sent. After identification and investigation, those that are found not guilty were sent for rehabilitation. And even on the onset, we did not have any minors detained in any of the facilities.
The Commission hopes that the implementation of the Human Rights Business Group will enhance compliance to human rights in all businesses in the state. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says his administration is intensifying efforts to reduce the damage caused by scavengers who steal manhole covers and other national assets in the city. He stated this during an inspection of the Saburi Access Road project, which is to link Dede Karimo, as well as the Life Camp district of the nation's capital. He also expressed satisfaction with the level of work done and pledged a timely completion.
We have reduced the level of damage. Some of these scavengers have been arrested and been prosecuted. We have a task force now that goes around the night, comprising of all the security agencies who are already cleaning the roads by making sure some of those people who say they are beggars, some of them are not really beggars, some of them are pretending to be beggars, but at the end of the day, they cause a lot of havoc. So we're really doing that. It's not easy, but we're going to achieve it. One of the reasons why I came to this point is to see this particular road Dede to Life Camp, which is almost being awarded to the same company. Procurement process is almost 80% done. We're waiting for the Bureau of Public Procurement to send us a document that have given the certificate of no objections. And if that happens, then we'll go to the Federal Council for approval, and then we'll continue from there. Obviously, by the time we finish, the people of this area will be quite happy.
The Executive Secretary of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, Mr. Sonny Echono, is applauding the recent increase in education tax from 2.5% to 3%. Mr. Echono stated this at a one-day strategic interaction with heads of beneficiaries at TED Fund institutions in Abuja. He believes that the increase will position the agency to improve infrastructure, academic programs, and accessibility for all students.
Interactive engagement between the management of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund and stakeholders to review past projects and plan for the future initiatives under the 2025 intervention guideline. The increase in the education tax from 2.5% to 3%, authorized by President Bola Tinubu, represents a significant boost for TED Fund.
That the revenue generated from the education tax plays a very significant role not only in maintaining but even providing additional infrastructure for our institutions, enhancing academic programs and promoting accessibility for students from diverse backgrounds.
Insufficient funding and political interference in the sector remain major challenges, and the chairman of the Board of Trustees doesn't like this.
This penchant for establishing institutions without adequate financing is not helping education, it's killing education.
Redirecting TED Fund's focus from construction of buildings to research is brought to the fore as the stakeholders call for collaboration, transparency in fund allocation, and inclusivity.
TETFund's mandate is one of trust, and as beneficiaries, we must uphold that trust by ensuring that funds are used judiciously and transparently.
All the Federal Republic and all other governments interested in building education and sustaining it should have a think of merely saying that salaries for teachers, lecturers, and so on is a mere personal cost. It is more than that. It is an investment.
The National Assembly promises improved appropriation for the agency.
As the chairman of the committee, I am deeply committed to ensuring that our institutions are adequately supported and funded. That is why TETFund remains a critical partner in realizing the aspiration of the Nigerian government in the education sector.
On behalf of myself and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, you can count on the committee's continued support to ensuring that the goals of the TETFund intervention are obviously achieved.
Although the Academic Staff Union of Universities is calling for the utilization of the backlog of unspent funds allocated to public tertiary education in the country, TETFund is promising a new regime of inclusivity and transparent funding.
The National Lottery Regulatory Commission has called for stronger partnerships to advance responsible gaming practices and support Nigeria's economic goals. The Director General of the Commission, Mr. Lanre Gbajabiamila, who was speaking at the NLRC stakeholders meeting held in Lagos, highlighted the Commission's commitment to fostering an ethical and transparent gaming sector. The meeting brought together industry stakeholders, regulatory bodies and partners to discuss the future of Nigeria's lottery and gaming sector.
Nigeria's lottery sector is positioning itself for best practices and also making efforts to remain a major contributor to the country's revenue drive. And that's the essence of this conference.
Through the use of public media.
The Director General of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission lays the premise, calling for stronger partnerships to advance responsible gaming practices and support Nigeria's economic goals.
I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the significant contribution of each and every one of you to our collective success. Because without each and every one of you, there cannot be a regulator regulating any industry in Nigeria.
The Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs wants a comprehensive system to regulate Nigeria's gaming sector.
I'm happy to be part of the whole program, mostly the operators who have doing well. Since I came on board, we have generated a lot of revenue through the gaming industry. So I'm happy to be part of this history.
Other speakers at the conference emphasized the importance of an effective regulatory framework that will not only eliminate unethical practices, but also facilitate business growth.
We must continue to engage. The primary purpose of the government policy is to ensure ease of doing business in such a way that Nigeria as a country, Nigerian economy as it is, will be able to take the best of benefits.
So being a designated non-financial business or profession, it just generally means that in accordance to Section 30 of the Money Laundering Act, you are known for having very high vulnerability to money laundering and terrorism financing. Casinos, lottery, sports betting all fall within that purview. And as Nigeria is on the grey list, this is really top of mind for our organization.
Over the years, we are into good causes. That's our mandate, basically. The good causes entails intervention in sports, education, health, humanitarian, disaster, water, the vulnerables, and so on and so forth.
What we want to take out of here is for us to do better for the industry, is to encourage the operators because they have their own challenges, and also to let the regulators also know that we have to work with the operators, because without the operators, without the players, there cannot be a regulator. So that's the whole essence of being here, to make sure that collectively we're able to move this industry forward. And it's a promising industry, the potential is there, the opportunities are there if properly regulated.
The meeting, focusing on regulatory advancements, cybersecurity, data protection, and ethical advertising, is intended to create a trustworthy and transparent gaming sector.
We're still ahead on the news at 10. Economic think tank Financial Derivatives Company projects inflation to climb to 33.29% in October as fuel costs push rates higher. That's some business news. Please join us again.
Welcome back. Nigeria's coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, says the current administration is committed to upgrading physical facilities, providing world-class training programs, and enhancing workforce incentives for health workers in Nigeria. The minister stated this in Abuja when he met with the leadership of the National Association of Resident Doctors on ways of deepening collaboration with the ministry.
Every education that you have, any education can help you get a job. Whether you're a medical doctor, pharmacist, nurse, whatever it is, if you're educated, you can get a job. But a quality education is one that makes you think of the society beyond yourself. Do you get me? Others first for you. That's the difference between quality education and every education. If you have, so the social ordering, the first social order, if you come to it, is you and what your needs are. Or you're a doctor, you are evolved. By virtue of that evolution, I think the social order is others before you, and that's what you represent. And so when you came, all the issues that you are raising, these are related to residents. These are German issues, and I will respond to them. But I'm pointing out to you that you should also be concerned about wider issues that affect the sector, because you are supposed to be at the top of a very high up the chain, where you care about also maternal health, child health, NCDs, surgical access, anesthesia. You get me? Impossible. New techniques, technologies, how we get in the materials to enable you. You have SPECT, you have PET scans, but you will be able to be telemedicine, teleradiology that actually helps you, because you are temporary in the residency, you are not indefinitely going to residence. Do you get me?
The Nigeria LNG Limited has received the prestigious award of the most compliant taxpayer by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, at the 2024 FIRS Day during the Lagos International Trade Fair. The recognition, which is part of the FIRS Compliant Taxpayer Award and Recognition Program, is designed to acknowledge companies that consistently meet their tax obligations, contribute to the development of the nation's economy. Speaking at the awards, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NLNG, Dr. Philip Michelibela, says that it reflects the dedication of the board, the management and the staff who work tirelessly to ensure the company remains a responsible corporate entity.
The reward for hard work, they say, is more work. But this time, the reward for diligence and hard work in meeting your obligation to country and people is a huge recognition. Nigeria LNG has emerged as the most compliant taxpayer by the Federal Inland Revenue Service at the 2024 FIRS Day. Token tax and civic obligation usually come with concerns of voluntary compliance culture. But as a responsible company, Nigeria LNG doesn't just meet that obligation, which is quite significant to the Federation. They have stayed compliant, warranting this award.
At the Federal Inland Revenue Service, we recognize the critical role that taxpayers play in nation building.
In a statement by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Philip, he says that the recognition coincides with a milestone for Nigerian LNG, marking its 35th anniversary of incorporation and 25th anniversary of successful LNG production in Nigeria. Noting that the award is a testament to NLNG's long-standing commitment to supporting Nigeria's development, particularly in the energy sector.
We want the taxpayers that we serve to know that we have a human face and that we see them and that we appreciate their efforts in collaboration with us for nation building. Therefore, this award and recognition today is just to buttress that fact, to encourage our taxpayers that they are appreciated and we recognize that they are worthy partners in nation building.
Taxpayers' education is said to be the cornerstone of any thriving economy, and NLNG is a poster child in this regard.
Takaful Insurance Limited, the leading provider of Takaful insurance solutions, is holding this year's edition of the African Takaful and Non-Interest Finance Conference right here in Lagos with a theme, Islamic Finance and Takaful, Building Resilience in a Volatile World. Industry leaders, experts and stakeholders from across Africa are attending to discuss new ways for Takaful and non-interest finance.
It's the first day of the second edition of the Takaful Insurance Non-Interest Finance Conference holding in Lagos.
Part of the capital market.
The event brings together industry experts to have a robust discussion as well as enable the company advance its ultimate goal of becoming a key player in Africa's non-interest finance sector. Chairman of Takaful Insurance Limited, Mukta Bakare, while giving his speech, says his organization is already bridging gaps associated with access to finance in underserved communities in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, we are already actively providing access to affordable capital in underserved communities, catalyzing the accumulation of savings while encouraging prudent, ethical investments.
Deputy Commissioner, National Insurance Commission, NICOM, Usman Jankara, states what his agency has done to promote Takaful non-insurance finance operation in the country.
From the National Insurance Commission side, we have played our role and have been very instrumental in promoting the growth of the Takaful insurance industry in Nigeria. And this we have done through several initiatives, some of which are we've issued the Takaful operational guidelines in 2013. The Commission has also licensed 5 Takaful operators with the concept gradually gaining acceptance.
What unique solutions?
The conference heads into panel sessions, dissecting various topics, including the role of environment, social and governance, ESG, in strengthening Islamic finance and Takaful, among others.
We need to develop to have a strong secondary market. People are just investing, buy and hold, basically. Obviously, this is not healthy for any financial market.
The potential are not only the natural wealth, but I think the biggest potential and the biggest asset of Nigeria is its people.
An investor in a mutual fund might still require a short-term investment, might still require a long-term investment and things like that. So we have to make sure that all these investments are suitable for the various investors.
One of the reasons we decided to host the second conference of the African Takaful and non-interest finance is because we feel that the alternative finance or Islamic finance or non-interest finance, as it is called and regulated in Nigeria, is because it provides a fairer alternative.
With the successful hosting of the Takaful non-interest finance conference, management of the company believes discussions held will bring new ideas that will ensure finance resources get to those underserved in Nigeria and the rest of Africa.
Let's delve into the world of business and continue with that. Will Ibong is standing by.
Thank you, Anne. Economic think tank Financial Derivatives Company has forecast Nigeria's headline inflation to rise to 33.29% in October from September's 32.7%. marking a second consecutive increase, largely due to ongoing high petrol prices. This projection comes as the National Bureau of Statistics is set to release October's inflation data on November the 15th. According to the FDC, both core and food inflation are expected to rise to 27.62% and 38.34% each. Meanwhile, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee is keeping a close eye on the exchange rate. A key inflation driver, and a further depreciation could lead to tighter monetary policy to tame it. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, says new capital requirements for banks will boost their ability to expand financial access across the country. Mr. Cardoso shared these views during the second International Financial Inclusion Conference in Lagos. The CBN governor highlights that stronger banks can better support underserved communities, which aligns with Nigeria's goal of inclusive economic development.
Financial inclusion is fundamental and foundational to Nigeria's sustainable economic development. In line with its efforts to deepen financial inclusion, the Central Bank of Nigeria recently introduced new minimum capital requirements for banks. This strategic move ensures that banks are well capitalized, enabling them to take on greater risks, particularly in underserved markets. With a stronger capital base, banks can provide more loans and financial products to MSMEs, rural communities, and other vulnerable segments that have previously struggled to access formal financial services.
And to more financial news, the domestic stock market closed on a negative note, reversing the gains recorded on Monday. Laddie Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. But after starting the week positive yesterday, we see investors sold off some consumer goods, bellwether stocks, even though we saw gains on MTN Nigeria's share price, 12 basis points down, 97,260 points for the all-share index. Smack on 30% for year-to-date gain, not outperforming inflation. Market cap 58 trillion. Let's look at the activity now. We see trading volume that rose sharply today. 340 million units of stocks valued at 8.9 billion naira. Deals 10,069. Let's get a check on the tier 1 banks now. Not a bad outing today compared to yesterday. FBNH unchanged. The biggest mover, UBA, 2.26% up. Zenith Bank, 0.96% up. So midweek trading session tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Maybe we might see an appearance by the bull. But today, it's the bears.
And that's a wrap on business news. It's back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. A significant increase in concessional public finance and clear indication of how public finance will mobilize trillions of dollars developing countries need are two of the 5 elements United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says are needed to succeed in the fight against climate change. Addressing the COP29 World Leaders Climate Action Summit opening ceremony in Baku, Azerbaijan, Mr. Guterres says that climate finance the world must pay up, or humanity will have to pay the price. Our correspondent Ayola Kasim reports.
Delegates, we will now suspend the session for final consultations on the adoption of the agenda. We will resume shortly.
A call for a short break after the opening plenary left delegate idle for the most of the day on Monday, with resumption of the plenary pushed back several times.
Thank you.
Eventually, when it resumed very late in the day, all agendas were adopted and parties even adopted a decision on the Paris Agreement's Article 6.4 mechanism, which legalizes carbon markets as a solution to climate change. But the criticism that followed was swift, many calling it a move that bypasses countries' ability to revise and strengthen these standards.
With regard to concerns about due process, I will have to say that we are a UN body governed by the Conference of the Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties to the Paris Agreement. We absolutely must follow due process at all times. And the CMA is free to give the supervisory body any guidance it wishes to, and we are more than happy to receive that guidance and elaborate on it.
To course correct, the UN Secretary General reminds world leaders of what is at stake: floods tearing through communities and tearing down infrastructure, children going to bed hungry as droughts ravage crops, telling them all these disasters and more are being supercharged by human-made climate change. He urged the leaders to focus on three priorities. First, emergency emissions reductions. Second, to do more to protect people from the ravages of the climate crisis. And the third priority is finance.
Last year, developing and emerging markets outside China received just 15 cents per every dollar invested in clean energy globally. COP29 must tear down the walls of climate finance. Developing countries must not leave Baku empty-handed. A deal is a must.
Many leaders, including the British Prime Minister, the President of Turkey, Serbia, and Zimbabwe, among others, have addressed the Tuesday's high-level segment for heads of state and government. But the message to the leaders here and in their home countries is to tell their negotiators to skip the posturing and move directly to finding a common ground before the end of this conference. From Olympic Stadium in Baku, Azerbaijan, the venue of COP29, Ayola Kasim, Channels Television News.
Still outside our shores, the Archbishop of Canterbury resigned today, days after a damning report into a prolific child abuser associated with the Church of England. The British barrister John Smith physically abused boys he met at Christian summer camps in the United Kingdom and in Africa between the 70s and the 80s. He was a senior member of Christian Charity, and it is believed to be the most prolific serial abuser associated with the Church of England. Here's Simon Pusey with other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Donald Trump's administration is starting to take shape after his win in last week's presidential election.
Because together with Donald Trump,
Two Florida lawmakers known for their tough stances towards China are in the running for senior foreign relations jobs in the administration of President-elect Donald Trump.
Our economy was stronger, our people were safer.
Senator Marco Rubio, who challenged Mr. Trump for the 2016 presidential nomination, is in talks to be his future Secretary of State.
What I think you're hearing in our collective frustration.
While Michael Waltz, a congressman and military veteran, could play his own significant role in Mr. Trump's new government. He is favourite for the National Security Advisor role. A car has ploughed into a crowd outside a stadium in the Chinese city of Zhuhai. Authorities say at least 35 people have been killed and 43 more injured after the man drove into a crowd of people exercising at a stadium in Zhuhai, which is in southern China. A 62-year-old male driver, identified as Mr. Fan, drove his SUV through a barrier in what local police say was a serious and vicious attack. Many elderly people, as well as teenagers and children, were among the injured. Police said the driver was arrested as he tried to flee and is in a coma from self-inflicted wounds. Dutch police have made 5 more arrests over the violence which followed a match involving an Israeli football team in Amsterdam on Thursday night. The 5 men, all from the Netherlands, are suspected of public violence against persons before and after the Maccabi Tel Aviv match against local team Ajax. Prime Minister Dick Schoof said that anti-Semitic attacks against Israelis and Jews were nothing short of shocking and reprehensible. Unrest flared up again in the city on Monday evening when an empty tram was attacked. The oil giant Shell has won a landmark case in the Dutch courts, overturning an earlier ruling requiring it to cut its carbon emissions by 45%. The Hague Court of Appeal said it could not establish that Shell had a social standard of care to reduce its emissions by 45% or any other amount, even though it agreed the company had an obligation to citizens to limit emissions. Shell said it was pleased with the court's decision, but Friends of the Earth, Netherlands, said the ruling was a setback that affected them deeply. Meanwhile, the British Prime Minister says he'll announce ambitious emissions cuts to goals at the COP29 UN Climate Summit in Azerbaijan. World leaders gathered for a group photo in Baku earlier. Around 80 world leaders are expected at the UN summit this week. However, several from major economies, including the United States, the European Union and Brazil, are planning to skip the event. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the summit, Sir Keir Starmer said he would be talking about the UK's pledge to cut emissions by 81% by 2035 compared to 1990 levels.
Look, it will be ambitious, and that's measured not by telling people what to do. It's measured by making sure that we get to clean power by 2030. That's the single most important target on the way to the emissions, and that will bring with it lower bills for people for their energy. It'll give them independence so that tyrants like Putin can't put his boot on our throat, causing all sorts of difficulties for our energy bills, and it comes with the next generation of jobs.
A Spirit Airlines flight destined for the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince has been struck by gunfire, forcing it to be diverted to the neighbouring Dominican Republic. Spirit said in a statement that the plane had been damaged and taken out of commission upon landing in the northern Dominican city of Santiago. A flight attendant was injured, reportedly being grazed by a bullet. Spirit said that it had suspended flights to Port-au-Prince and Cap Haitian in Haiti's north, pending further evaluation. And the largest restoration of Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch, is underway at a museum in Amsterdam. Following 5 years of research using techniques such as digital imaging and artificial intelligence, 8 restorers will begin Operation Night Watch by removing the varnish from the painting in full view of the public within the glass-enclosed space in the Night Watch room. The varnish, applied during a 1975 to 1976 restoration, will be removed using microfiber cloths and cotton swabs. The process follows years of scientific research, trials on other paintings, and tests on the Night Watch itself. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. 22 of the invited 23 Super Eagles players are now in camp in Abuja, Cote d'Ivoire, ahead of Thursday's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against the Benin Republic. Only Spain-based forward Sadiq Umar is yet to arrive. The player is expected to join the team in the early hours of Wednesday with 10 points from 4 games and sitting top of Group D. The 3-time African champions need just a point to secure a ticket to the 5th edition of AFCON, scheduled for Morocco from December 21st, 2025 to January 18th, 2026. And Edo Queen's head coach Moses Adoko says he will approach the next group game as in the CAF Women's Champions League like a cup final. The WAFU B champions will lead Group B, will face FC Masar of Egypt on Wednesday evening with a chance to secure a semi-final ticket. Away from football, Yannick Sinner has been presented with the ATP year-end #1 trophy in front of a loud home crowd in Turin, Italy. In June, Sinner became the first Italian man or woman to reach the coveted world #1 spot in singles since the computerized rankings were established in 1973. He also becomes the 19th player to receive the award. And that's your Sports News tonight. I'm Kelly. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Senator Monday Okpeyolo and Dennis Idahosa were today sworn in for the 4-year tenure as Governor and Deputy Governor of Edo State. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Good night.